All right, folks, it is here. We are finally there. The man, the myth, the legend. ZAXX is in the house. What's your story? My brother, thank you so much. Here we are. Let's do it.
Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to this one.
Oh yeah, it's something we've talked about a long time, and everybody I think knows a lot of your story. A lot of these folks that are seeing this video probably know you, but give everybody the elevator pitch of ZAXX and ZAXX becoming the YouTuber.
Okay, yeah, sure. So YouTube was not something I ever expected to be doing, and it kind of came about because of my job had changed. I was used to working with a tight unit of three other guys, and we were together all the time at work, whether it be in the office or in the field. We were always kind of the four of us hanging out, and we would talk about whatever. Like it wasn't always, we don't always, men don't always need to be chatting to each other, but it would be, sports, what's coming up with movies, in like a very light sense, the weather, whatever, but just like a lot of hockey talk, football talk, mixed martial arts, all that stuff we would talk about all the time. And then because of COVID, things changed and we weren't allowed to work together anymore. So went from a group of four guys to just me by myself doing similar work, but I was isolated all the time. And I didn't know until that happened to me that like I actually need this. Like I need people to talk to who, share some of the same interests as me. And I want to be able to connect to people who have interests that, I may like to learn more about and can introduce me to things. And I had lost that, and it took me months to figure out like what was missing because I was alone in a car a lot of the time at this point and listening to podcasts. And I got through like I got through a lot of Bigfoot. Like there's only so many Bigfoot podcasts one person can listen to, or strange stories. And it was like, and then one day, I don't know why, but I'm on YouTube and I watched a couple of videos, but not much. And it wasn't until Pops that I found live streams. And there's, of course, the bigger ones like Nerdrotic. And that was usually in the afternoon on Fridays when I'd be off work already. I'd hear a little bit of that. And then it was actually Pop Culture Minefield does a lot of stuff during the day when I was at work.
Mhm.
And I listening and interested, and you never knew what was going to be talked about. And I realized that like if I type in the chat, I can actually like if I have something to add, I can add it. And it was like a small enough group where they might answer my question or like someone else in the chat would talk to me.
Mhm.
And it was that interaction I had been missing. I didn't know that I'd missed it.
Sure.
And so I kept going with that. And I was watching a lot of videos, getting my name out there in chat, not knowing that's what I was doing. I was just kind of watching shows I liked and saying hello to people and then chiming in with stuff and trying to be funny sometimes like I normally would try to be. And then Gary at Pop Culture Minefield he had an issue with needed help with producing. And I was watching a live stream and he was kind of like, you could tell he was pretty, he felt pretty let down that he was kind of on his own at this point and didn't know what to do. And so in the chat, I said, like, well, I don't know how to produce, but I can try to learn and help or something. And so I did. He showed me kind of how StreamYard works and how to sort of run a stream or run a live stream. And so I did a lot of backstage stuff with him. He kind of taught me the ropes, him and Six actually, about how a live stream even functions from backstage. And I then took that and helped other people with their backstage stuff.
Mm.
Mostly Salty Texas C at the time. He's Salty Traveling C, but we connected over Wheel of Time because I couldn't believe how bad that television show was, the adaptation of it was. And I was out there looking for other people who could see what I was seeing, and most people were saying, this is great. It's we're really getting this is excellent for progressive politics and it's feminist like it should be, and like, but this isn't what happened in the books at all. And I noticed people who were saying those things, like I was thinking, were getting attacked pretty hard, and so I would try to defend them in their comments, and then I started getting involved with streaming with Salty backstage, and eventually ended up, on a show, and I made a couple of shorts that didn't fit with Pop Culture Minefields or anyone else, and they were mostly Wheel of Time joke shorts, and they did really well. And then you get that, oh wow, like people actually like stuff that I'm doing. I'll do more stuff then. And I got to meet people like you in real life, which is awesome. Like I that's something you'll never forget, is meeting the people you see online in real life. It's and realizing they're the people that you thought they were, and that's the most you could expect. And
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. Fact check true. His shoulders are that big. Just so we're clear. And I am this old. Just so we're all
well,
clear. It's not a put on. I actually have that gray beard. It's all real. It's all real.
he doesn't. He's a legit guy that you think that he is from all these shows and all these things he does for other people. He's really that guy. So it's cool to see.
Let me, because I got a thread, I got to keep yanking on there because
Yeah.
you had a lot in there, and I want to get to that too because I think one of the things that one of the reasons I do this show, and each year it kind of like how will I want to revisit it, and I think at least for now, I feel like I want to feed the machine for people that are behind us a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, or someone who's like, I got 100 subscribers, what do I do? All of those things that we were doing.
Yeah.
Even when I started with 500 or 600 subscribers, that had come with on and off again over the course of 3 years before I actually said, I'm just going to do pops for a while.
Right.
When you talk about like backstage or producing, that kind of thing, define that a little bit better. Like, what does that mean? Does that mean I give you permission to get into my StreamYard so you can just pull stuff up on your computer? What is that versus being a wrench? Like, define that for you, Zach, what you think works and doesn't work and in that experience a little bit.
I think that being a producer is a great way to learn how to run your own live stream. And what you're doing backstage is usually that person is giving you full access to their StreamYard so that you can change the layout on the fly as it works. If they're talking about a subject, you can run and go find links that help with that part of the show and do that in real time. And so there's pressure there. You have to be paying attention to it. But go and grab, a quick video or a clip of something that if you know where it is. And if you know what the topics are before the show starts, you already have that set up for yourself beforehand. I would use a notepad file with links that I thought we might use during the show based on what topics we were covering. So I could quickly get them, pull them up, and show them live as people are talking about that subject on the show. And it's invaluable experience for me, and it helps the people running the show because then they can just focus on, the people who are watching and making sure that they're enjoying themselves and interact with them while I'm running backstage to get this link or this image or that picture. And also at the same time, I'm usually modding, so I'm also in the chat, welcoming people as they come through, reacting to things that I think are should be reacted to or that are to me, and pulling up comments that I think the person running the show should address because they're great comments or they're super chats, which is a whole other thing where you're trying to make sure that the super chats, when they come through, that they are answered and addressed in the right sort of timely manner, not immediately all the time, but often they're very subjective to that topic at that time. So you don't want that to slide an hour later and then bring it back, Yeah. And so that's where I got into being verbal on the stream was like, hey, you got to read this comment. And there's no other way to do that if you're working with someone who doesn't read the private chat except for to say on the stream, hey, read this super chat because this is important. This person is paid, to have this topic covered or this question answered so that's very important that, that gets up there. And other people who may also have a great comment too, you want to make sure it doesn't just slide because they've taken the time to watch your show. Like we do this for them and for the entertainment value they give us in return. And it's important that someone took the time to watch your show, made a witty comment or, a very astute comment that we, if we can address it or give them credit for it, or even make sure that the person running the stream sees it. And we can all share a laugh with our, with the audience. And so that's backstage. Modding is more of you're in the chat, you have a wrench, So if there's people causing issues, which there almost never is in our community, really, you can mute them or time them out. And a big part of that for me is to make sure I welcome everyone to the show. So when they come in, if they say something in the chat, that I'm there to say, hey, welcome, good to see you, whatever. So they know that, like, yeah, someone did see them, and if we never get to talk to them on the stream, that they still had someone recognize they were there, and say hello, and that get it back and forth going, and it's all part of like welcoming people in and hoping they stick around long enough to be a participant in the show, because you can't do it without them.
Yeah, and it's like trying to find a way as a wrench to kind of enhance the show in whatever's being discussed, right? So wrenching is different depending on the type of show you have. If I'm a wrench, which I don't even know why everyone makes me a wrench, because I have ADD. I don't last long anyway. This guy knows. I watch like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Or I'm watching 1.5, 2 speed. However, if I'm in a wrench on Roman's show, Roman's like having a serious conversation over here, but
Yeah.
I'm in chat cutting up, throwing in links. I like on yours. I like throwing like ridiculous links. I think hashtags are retarded, so I make like these ridiculous hashtags out of nowhere. It's like you're just trying to enhance that experience. And like you said, the prioritization of super chats is so important. I don't think it was like this in the beginning we first started, ZAXX, but it seems like StreamYard has become less interface with the whole super chats membership thing. Like you just can't see stuff cross at all. So if you're caught up in the middle of something deep, you almost need to have someone who can help you push stuff to the forefront. It's been very frustrating. I know it's for me whenever I've had things kind of fall through the cracks. I'm just embarrassed and humiliated.
Well, and that's a great point, because people don't know that things like member chats don't come through to the StreamYard side. And they may have heard that, but what that means is if someone is focused on running the show just in StreamYard, which it does take a lot of your focus. It's not a simple thing, especially if you have a decent group of people there, and you're trying to keep the show moving along, making sure all the panelists have a chance to have their say on something, and not step on each other as this is happening. And you are a professional broadcaster, Pops. So you have a different level of that than anyone else does. But you can imagine with us, it's like, someone puts 6 cats in a room and hopes for the best. And so they're busy with that. And you're missing a member chat, someone who's been supporting you for months, and they had something they wanted to say, which is part of their benefits. And you see it run through the chat and it's gone forever because it never comes through the StreamYard side. And so when I do the backstage stuff, I always make sure to, on the private chat, I'll say that this member is in the chat, they're watching the show, and then if they make a member chat comment, I make sure I copy and paste that over to the StreamYard side so that we can then have it saved. So if it doesn't get addressed immediately, it will get addressed as the show goes on, because I don't want to have those get missed. Because again, like, this is people's hard-earned money that they're pledging to support you, and we want to make sure that everyone who watches the show is entertained. But if someone is actually supporting the production of the show, and they have something to say, well, I want to know what it was, and we should discuss it, and it shouldn't get missed. And that is a stressful thing.
It's been one of the things, and the most embarrassing moment of all. And I don't mind rehashing it because I want everybody to understand that if this has happened to me, imagine what can happen to you, right? So I had someone who was already a member. I'll say it. Daryl the Derelict wouldn't mind. He donated 5 memberships, and I didn't know, and he had to leave. So because it's sort of like disappearing, and I didn't have it away. I didn't have YouTube pulled up at the right way, the right time and stuff. And I missed it before he had left. And then eventually they tell me, oh, by the way, you missed this. I'm like, oh crap, let me go back and see it. I felt absolutely awful. I messaged him privately and stuff, but reality is it's that easy because of the technical limitations that we have with StreamYard and other software. Because I've tried Restream. It's not significantly better. It's better at a couple things, but worse at other things. So it's like every one of them have some give and takes. To give you full access. So let's say, for instance, I think you're allowed to have one person as your other administrator, so to speak. And let's say a show like my situation, right? So I have Talk Hard, so I'll have someone who may need access for that show. But what do I do? How do I give you access if I want to have, say, what's your story? We're going to do a live what's your story. I want ZAXX to have access. So I have to take the other person out, put you in, kind of flip-flop them around. Is that an option? Is that what you would recommend?
Yeah, you can do that. Or the under the table recommendation is that you have that second person log in as you. So they attempt to log in with your email address, whatever you use to log into StreamYard with, and then you will get a code sent to your email saying you're trying to log in, and then you under the table give that person back your code. They log in with your code as you, and then once they get in there, they can change their avatar and their name so they're not showing up as you in the chat and in the panel and in the comments. So they are an additional person who's backstage with who has full access, but who when they enter StreamYard thinks as you.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I can enter as me because now there's not another person this name pops. So ZAXX goes in under me, changes everything, and then goes, okay, gotcha. Okay. All right.
And
all right.
the trick with that is, A, you better trust that person, you know, as much as you possibly can. And you cannot then, it makes it very difficult to withdraw that access again. So, because their Chrome or whatever they're using will then save the cookies that allow them to log into your StreamYard. And so they could then, in theory, log into your StreamYard later. It's not like having someone who you designated as your other person, because you can take that access away at any time. But if you've let someone in as you, well, they might always think it's you. So it better be someone that you work well with and that you trust.
Yeah. So don't let ZAXX in. You never know.
Don't let me in. No, don't let me in. No.
What has been your experience of severing those relationships, life moving on, life gets in the way? Because I don't think you're actively producing Gary's show right now, right? So things happen, right? I know I've seen other folks that are in our groups where they've been producers or high profile showrunners, if you will, and now they've got other things going on. So how has that process worked for you, and some advice that you might have for folks that need to kind of go through that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was a very difficult thing for me to have to do, especially with Gary, because he did help me a ton, and I knew I was helping him a ton. I was making clips for him and shorts for him and a lot of stuff on the side to help his channel grow because I believed in what he does, and I wanted to help as much as I could. But then my job changed again because they were the restrictions were coming off, and my hours were changing, and I wasn't alone anymore. And so if I'm meeting other people in the community, especially, I can't be there during his show because a lot of the times his shows were on were times that are normal work hours for me. And that is similar to me also, and family stuff as well, which has always been there and hasn't really changed at all. But it's that I would have time in the day where I could take an hour from, middle of the day as a lunch, and I could, duck home, do some studio stuff for Gary behind the scenes from 10 to 11 p.m., we'll say, and go back and finish the rest of my day. And when the world changed back, I can't really do that anymore. And I tried for a while to do it anyways, and I would try to be there for him. And like, I could do it with my phone. And there was a day where I was running his backstage on my phone while I was driving. And I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I'm sorry. I want to help. But as long as the show was during regular work hours for me, which is the best time for him to do a show, like, you can't count on me. So, I'll be a mod. I'll be there in the chat as much as I can. I still do like your shows, but I can't run it reliably. So it's best that you find someone else who can. And I had to do it. It wasn't a choice. And that's part of why, like, I'd love to be on your shows way more, your live streams. I'm always there watching them. I'd like to be on them. I think you have fantastic shows, and with Loki and Ironcaster talk hard, but it's just at a time in the day when I'm borderline either just getting home from work or I've just got home from work and the kids home and it's like it's chaos and I can't. Yeah. So the hard thing is to know, now this is the big advice, to know you can't, and it's okay that you can't, and that you have to tell the other person that you just can't. Because there can be hard feelings, but if it's a person you've worked with and they know you, and they know where you're coming from, that they understand you would like to do it, and they also understand why you can't anymore.
Sure.
And like with you, my shows that I do tend to be later in the evening after my son goes to bed.
Yep.
And I know you'd like to be on them with me, and you've made sacrifices sometimes to come on those shows when I've really needed you, but you have to be up at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm rolling and going at, you're starting at, 10 o'clock my time. I'm running on fumes from the 5 a.m. start, and it's like, oh, I can't make myself, that bad for the following day. And but what ends up happening though is we get to know each other, and we end up having these great relationships. We sow and we harvest. And when there's a day like today where the schedule opens up and you blew me up and like, can we get it to work? And I'm like, we can get it to work. Let's do this. We'll go as long as we can. We will record all sorts of clips and stuff today. So if you're watching this, reality is there's probably a member stream with this guy. There's probably another little snippet. So look for ZAXX's name out there, because you will probably see it over the next course of the few weeks in and around this What's Your Story, because that's kind of how we have to do sometimes because of that. And the time zone differences, because you work with a lot of folks that are Pacific time.
Yep.
Right. So we end up with these time jumps of things. It's like, first world YouTube problems, man. First world YouTube problems.
It's very true. But if you're somebody who's interested in learning or wanting to get into doing YouTube, or even if you just want to know how it works, and there's someone that you enjoy watching, it's okay to offer to help. And they may take you up on that offer, and then it's a mutual thing where you both benefit because they get some help. You learn how to do it, and if you want to continue to do it, you can. And I found, like with Gary, with Pop Culture Minefield, I still watch him all the time, and he always plays a clip for me every time I come in the chat. That's just for me. It's like, okay, like, so he understands.
Sure.
And the other one was with Salty. I did every Tuesday with him and the Wheel of Time show, and I still do feel bad about that one because there was a few weeks when I just couldn't do it. And then my son, as he got older, his bedtime got later, and the evenings got more difficult for my wife and I, for him. And he's special needs, and so he takes a lot of time to settle. And it's not just that it takes effort, but it's not fair to put that all on her. And also, it's very loud. And Roman understands this too. We've talked about this in person, and I can't really run a show when there's absolute chaos going on in your house. And so I couldn't do a few of those shows, and the Tuesday shows kind of stopped happening with his show. And I'm not saying it was me, but like that was something I enjoyed being a part of, and I just couldn't be a part of it anymore. And because real life steps in and says, "Hey, buddy, like you have responsibilities here, and your hobby is great, but it does have to come second."
Yeah. No, I listen. I think it's just great that we're able to like have these moments of realism and talk about that, because and to make some of that stuff work, like you said, like what would be some of the things that people might need help with or whatever. You trust me, I think that many of us will just take help for all sorts of things. And sometimes it's not even help. It's more like that would just be fun or funny. I'm going to share an example. So if you guys have not seen me use this, I probably will by the time this airs. But so Jacob Ironside did Roman's thumbnails for the Secret Invasion show. And I was supposed to attend the finale, and I didn't get a chance to. So, but what come of that was he had done a scroll version of me. So there's a whole bunch of scroll versions of me that I got from Jacob Ironside. I'm like, I will gladly take those and use them for something, because that's freaking amazing. So yeah. So have fun with it, guys. Like just, and this is where Zach and I, we communicate pretty regularly and wish each other well, obviously in our private lives and our families and that kind of thing. We've broken bread, which is, it does change the game too, when it becomes much more real in that regard. So, but your journey, bro, has been pretty rocky, man. It's been a rough road for you. You've had a lot of ups and downs, and you were kind of like one of the first people that I give a lot of credit to turn me on to Indian cinema. And you're also on the front end of like some of the shorts and the experiments with the shorts and that kind of thing. But also you were also on the front end of like one of the early waves of the demonetization, what reused content is, and all that crap. So talk a little bit about the kick in the groin and that whole process, because that was just rough. That was just rough.
Yeah, and I'm going through it again now. But yeah, it was the Indian cinema thing first, which is why my channel got, grew in subs as quickly as it did in the first place, was because I happened to be enjoying some of these Indian films, and Triple R was the first one. And one of my first live streams I had ever done was international. I'd like to get recommendations from people from from wherever they are on what they want to recommend for the audience to watch, given a theme, because I found that if you don't give people a theme, they have a harder time. We all have a harder time coming up with examples. Like if you say, what was a great movie that you saw this year? And you're like, okay, well, I don't know. Nothing feels great oftentimes right now. But if you say, what was a great sci-fi movie that you saw, in from 2000 to 2010? And you might, oh, okay, you have a few, right? And so if you give someone guidelines, they come up with ideas. Oh, yeah, well, this would work. So this was international. So the theme was international cinema. So I talk about Triple R, which I had just watched. And, that went okay. And then I made a clip of that live stream and put it up, and I think it's still like 97,000 views. I don't know why. It's a horrible clip. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time, really at all. And I got a lot of stuff wrong, which got me corrected in the comments, which may have actually helped the video long term, which I didn't understand until later. But yeah, I mean, you just never know what's going to happen. And so I was already covering more Indian cinema stuff, mostly S.S. Rajamouli, but some other people as well. The KGF stuff I did cover as well. And I got a lot of subs from that momentum there. And I was telling everyone, like, people love this stuff. Like, if you're looking for something to cover, do you want people to actually watch your videos? Because like most people, you're getting 30, 40 views on stuff that you've done, even though you've put work into it. You think it's a great recommendation. Well, not a lot of people are watching it. So it does feel good when you get something where people actually watch it and comment and go like, great review, or thanks, I watched this, and or finally someone else is talking about this, and you're like, that stuff is great. And so I talked to you and Flaccid as well. That's kind of how I met him. Was he had I think they had like 66 subs at the time, and they were making great stuff, but nobody was watching it. And so then we started doing more Indian cinema stuff. We would do Indian cinema streams, and they would always blow up. And so I got a lot of subs from that. So I really appreciate all of that stuff. And then I rode that wave. And then people were telling you that, I don't know if this is true, 'cause I'm just a guy, but that YouTube wouldn't let you grow anymore if you didn't do 3 shorts a day. And I don't know what to do shorts about 3 times a day. So I thought, if I'm going to do them, it's got to be something that I actually care about. And so I put together shorts from Band of Brothers. It's my favorite limited series ever. And I love that, I like to have that conversation with people. I want more people to watch it. And it's a show I think that you should watch with your kids, especially his son, if you can. Make them watch this with you, even if they don't want to, because I did that with mine. Great experience watching it with him. And so I picked clips, but I would take a clip and I would make a theme of it. So one of them I made was, for example, was about chocolate. And it was this, every time that someone in the show had reference to chocolate, and almost always it was because they didn't have medication they needed. So it's like, well, I don't have any morphine for you, but here I have a chocolate bar. And it was something you could share with someone. Yep. And so I made it together into a short. And they went, and I was just making them and not thinking about them. And then all of a sudden they just started exploding. And I didn't know why. But, I was getting 7 million, 8 million views on these shorts from Band of Brothers. And my subs went through the roof. And I was like, well, okay, well, I guess people like this, so I'll do more of these. And then just like that, everything was shut down. I had like 23,000, almost 24,000 subscribers at that time. And every time I put a short out for anything at that point, it would blow up. But mostly anything military related, I found would do really well for me. And there's no more, you're out of the partner program for reused content, which we've all heard that term by now. But at the time, I hadn't heard that term.
Yeah, you were one of the first people.
Yeah. And I didn't know, what do you mean by reused content? Because when that happens to you on YouTube, they don't tell you what videos they mean. They don't even really define what reused content means, because there's the fair use piece where, if you're transforming something, so if I'm taking clips from a show and I'm putting them all together in a different order with a narrative, I thought that was okay to do because they weren't copyright claimed or anything like that. They were fine as far as I could tell, like based on the tools that I had to tell. And if someone had said those are copyright and take them down, I would just taken them down, or
Mhm.
this is reused. You can't use these, and I would take them down because they weren't.
Mhm.
That wasn't what it was there for. But I did like the conversations and comments because I got thousands of people, no joke, to watch that show.
Mm.
And what's better than that? Like
Yeah.
for me, that was better than anything monetization related. Like it was fantastic to feel that people are now into this, and I turned people on to something they wouldn't have watched because it's an older show that's kind of,
Sure.
slipped by. And anyway, I felt good about that. But anyways, so then, I was like, okay, well, I tried an appeal and that didn't get me anything. They didn't watch the appeal video, and uh, then so I waited out my 30 days, and then I reapplied, and I had deleted the shorts, and so and I was still not accepted. They said reuse content. I'm like, well, surely like there's nothing else here because I don't have shorts anymore. They're gone. It was just my live streams and clips from my live streams that were still on my channel. And so because they don't tell you what do you mean reuse content or what is the reused content, I didn't know what to do now. And it wasn't like I was making. I don't do YouTube stuff like for the money. I like to know that YouTube can at least pay for itself in terms of like things like StreamYard, so they're covered, so that when you put the time in, at least the hobby is free for you. And so I'm like, okay, well, this is frustrating because I don't know what I'm doing wrong now. And
Hmm.
that's the big for me when I think I'm following the rules. And this is not just in YouTube. This is the thing with me. And you say I'm not, but not. How am I not following the rules?
Hmm.
What am I supposed to do? So the next time 30 more days go by, um, I have nothing left that I could think of that references anything else. So now it's like I had done joke shorts. I made sure those were gone. They were done a long time ago, but they were gone too. Even shorts or things that involved videos, other YouTubers' clips, those were gone. They still said no, reuse content. Like, okay, all of this stuff is stuff that I made. It's just me talking with Pops. And it was still was reused. And so I applied again. I know it's getting a long story now, but I had deleted all of my live streams. Almost all of them were gone. And just had enough clips up so that I could have the hours I needed. And you're fine, you're back in. So I'm like, I don't know what I was like. I deleted like 300 videos overall, and and I don't know which ones were the issue, and I'll never know.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, by
And
far, this is the most frustrating aspect because we have all of this sort of like copyright claim stuff built in, which is very specific. Copyright claim will say, here's the claim. Here's, when you click the little thing, it's highlighted, so you know exactly which part of the video. It gives you options to trim and edit it out, all these different things you can do. I'm like,
yeah,
what is reused content and why is it not done the same way? Why is there not just a new category now, a flag? This is flag for reused content. It just shows you or tells you something.
yeah.
And I think it's more like an algorithmic thing that they just made up on the fly. Do you feel like you have a better understanding of it now? Because a lot of other folks followed after you. A lot of other folks, it's like we went through peaks and valleys of people getting hit by it. What do you think is reused content now in the grand scheme of things?
Good question. I don't know. I thought I had a pretty good idea of it, and then I got my channel was fine, kind of humming along. I wasn't doing much because one of the things that sucks about this is that like you can't be as creative or have as much fun because, well, if I put out the wrong video, now I'm gonna get shut down because it's
Mhm.
reused. But and there's no warning system. It's not flagged. It doesn't tell you. Or at least if you got a strike, it says this video has been struck for this reason. You know, so you can okay, well, I make sure I won't do that again or whatever it might be, or
Right.
claimed. You're like, okay, well, I don't need it, so I'll just get rid of all the trim it or whatever. But there's no option to you don't know why. So I got hit again recently. So I was demonetized again or kicked out of the partner program. And like part of that is like it's like you're out of it doesn't it's not important while you're doing it, but it's like it's almost you're getting the scarlet letter now. Like, okay, well, there's something you're doing that's wrong
Mhm.
that is like outside of normal society. You shouldn't be allowed to do this, but you don't know what it is, and everyone else knows it's happened to you, and so you need to explain it. But I don't really have a way to explain it because I wasn't doing shorts anymore. Um, This time it said reused repetitive content. It said my videos looked too similar to each other. And I just do live streams for the most part. So they said, well, you can appeal it and address these things. And one of them was, how are your videos different from each other? And so show examples of how you edit and that you make more than one video, I guess, which I did. Put in the appeal, sent it in, got rejected almost immediately. And it just said you didn't show enough different kinds of videos in your appeal. But then I waited and I checked my analytics, which they do give you, and it showed that my appeal video, which was 5 minutes long, just under 5, because 5 is the max, had only been watched to 1:09. And I covered 2 other videos after that point with how I made them and how they were different, which they just didn't watch.
Sure.
So they being whoever that is or whatever machine, but it only watched the first minute of a 5-minute thing to say you're still wrong about this. So now for me as a creator, do I know how am I wrong still? Am I wrong because you just didn't watch it, or am I wrong at the same time with how I'm making content? And that's frustrating for that part. But you just have to kind of, if you like doing YouTube, you have to do it because you like doing it. And that kind of stuff it's frustrating, but it really, you have to put it aside and keep trying to do the things you love doing, cover things you love covering, working with people you enjoy working with, and having fun with it, and hoping other people have fun too, and showing them, some things that you can recommend to them to watch or enjoy that they wouldn't have otherwise found. And so that's why I started doing this stuff. That's why I still do it. And
I think Stone Cold Loki talked a lot about how he thinks that I don't know if he talked to them directly or if it's through someone else, but it was like the repetitive intros and things like that are a problem and stuff like that. And I guess this is where I totally just got lucky, because people have been telling me, make an intro and that'll be your intro, or, do, whatever. And I have always just randomly done things. And I just feel like it fit the tone of that video or this video or this type of video. So that a lot of mine are just hodgepodge things, and very rare that anything is very systematic.
Yep.
And I'm like, man, is that what we're getting to? That your AI algorithm is like, oh, you have an intro that's longer than minute and a half or 2. I don't know what the even time. Again, we don't have information. And this is what's frustrating, because you're like me, like, I just want to know what the rules are. What is the rules of the game that we're going to play? If I'm going to play baseball, these are the rules. So I'm going to play basketball, these are the rules. Like, what are the rules?
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm not sure we know a whole lot more than we did before.
And you're right. I did talk to Loki about that. And I saw, I think it was Legal Mindset talked about how a whole bunch of people had the same thing happen to them that happened to me at the same time. And it was for intros and outros that were the same, except for, and which I'll fix that if that's what the issue is, because that doesn't matter. It's not even part of the show. It's just to give people 2 minutes to show up to watch it before you start really putting it on. But it also says in the reuse content guidelines for for your demonetization, it says do's and don'ts. And do's, it's fine to have the same intro and outro every time. Like, so it says it's okay.
Right.
But then the AI may not see it that way. And there's if no human eyes ever see your stuff, because I don't think there's a conspiracy. There's no one out to get me. I don't think that at all. I think I may be flagged because I've already been hit with that one time. So they may look at me more often or closer or whatever, which would make sense if someone's done something once, then you want to see if they're going to do it again. But then it would be good if you told me what it is that I'm doing, because I wouldn't do it anymore. But right. I've heard that. Yeah. But it's conflicting information. So I just won't do that, just out of abundance of caution. I'll either delete the live streams or I'll cut the intro outros.
ZAXX has multiple channels, so we'll put ZAXX 1 and 2 tubes in there for you guys to make sure you're connected. Because the other thing that you've been doing was simulcasting, right? Because StreamYard's restreams are allowing people to sort of like simulcast the same stream. Do you think that will all be okay, or that will also come back to get us as far as like duplication of content or something like that? I don't know.
Oh, they'll definitely come back to get you on that, I think.
Mm.
And so the only reason I'm doing that is to get people over to my second channel because I have the subscribers over there. I just don't have the watch hours over there. And so, but I have a lot bigger notification base with my main channel. So,
Mm-hmm.
so then what I do is I'll stream on both channels. Then what I'm doing now is I cut the first channel off after a certain period of time and I'll let people know, like I'm going to shut down this stream. We're just going to be over here now for the rest of the show. So come
Mm-hmm.
hang out with us over here so that I can get some watch hours on that channel because it has the subs, just doesn't have the hours. So
Gotcha.
that's the idea. But yeah, and so then I'll delete or unlist or private the streams so they're not the same thing on two channels. And the idea being I'd like to do 15 minutes on both, then cut one down and then just focus on the second one. And the only problem with that is there's people who might show up late who, don't know what happened because they'll have got a notification for a show that's not there anymore.
Mm.
But there is a tool that YouTube has that you can use now, which is it's kind of like the idea that Twitch had for raids,
Mm-hmm.
where so I could actually send a raid from one of my channels to my other one. So when it ends, people can click at the top and it says, "Do you want to go follow the rest of the group to this channel?"
Mm-hmm.
And then they can go over. And some people might not, but that's what I've been trying with that. And like a lot of the stuff for YouTube with me, I like to kind of understand how the system works and I like trying new stuff. So for me, it's like, yeah, I guess it could be an issue, but this is kind of cool. Let's see, what can we do with this? And going forward, how can I use this with other creators to help everyone help each other? Because if this does work this way, can we, and I've sort of worked a bit with Floral and Punk Waddle and Mrs. Flu on their Wednesday show, that we complement each other's shows
Mm-hmm.
because I'm after him. I try not to go over him. And, can we try to promote each other at the same time? And if like you or I and someone else could have a block of 3 1-hour shows and each show when it ends sends us to the next show, that could be great for all of us, you know? And so I'll test it out. I guess I'll be that guinea pig. I don't mind. And I still enjoy doing the shows as much as I ever did. So that's the key and I've always said this because if you don't enjoy it, if it's not fun, don't do it. Just walk away, take time if you need to. Don't make this your job. Don't think this is going to be your retirement plan down the road. Maybe it will be. I'm not saying it's not possible, but that can't be why you do this, or you will burn out, or you'll get hit with what's happened to me, and you'll be like, well, now what do I do? There's an example of that. I just had him on, but Justin is Lost is another YouTuber, and he was much bigger than I am, and he was on your show a few weeks ago too. You
Yeah,
had him on
right before it happened.
right
Yeah.
before it happened, and his channel, he was doing really well for himself to the point where he was about to quit his day job and move into a new place that he'd got set up with a studio in it, based on just doing YouTube full time, and then without warning, without strikes, his channel was not just demonetized but completely nuked, gone. It's just not there anymore.
Yep.
And he still doesn't really understand why. He suspects why, and a lot of people will guess why. But I think that as creators, we have a tendency to we want to blame other creators and go, well, he must have done something, right? Because, well, I'm okay. So if I'm okay and he's not okay, he must have done something. But I don't know if that's really true. And if they did do something, they should have said what it was he was doing to give him a chance not to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I really have a hard time with where YouTube has evolved into is that it can you can make a financial agreement with someone because it goes beyond just listen, I'm just an open public access channel and you can just put your show on here.
Right.
Then we're going to say, well, no, we're not really public access because now we have to have all of these sort of like rules because we also want to put ads on your stuff so we make money.
Right.
And then at a certain point, if you're big enough, now we will partner with you and have a financial agreement. But then you have this veil of secrecy that involves my control over your content. And that's where the problem to me, I can't even stand the concept of government regulation, but I'm like, guys, there has to be a solution here where the word is partnership.
Right.
but it's not a partnership if it's one dimensional and we have no. And again, the communication is still a joke. Certain people have had some access to people to get answers, but usually, how many, which pleb at YouTube are you talking to that may or may not even understand like Justin's situation or your reuse situation, things like that. So very, very frustrating. What is it that I mean, you mentioned having the second channel and your strategy and that kind of thing. What is still driving you? Is it still like what got you to do this in the first place, or is there new things that drive you to wanting to do the content?
Um, it's because I enjoy hanging out with the people I hang out with at this point, like getting to
Mhm.
talk to you, people that I wouldn't get to talk to in regular life, and people on the shows that I do host, the panelists I have, the people in the chat. Like you look forward you're hanging out with them essentially, and there's some work that goes into that beforehand, but that's still I just like that. I like getting
Mhm.
together with people that I like and talk about something that we all enjoy, and maybe I like the idea of leaving people with, maybe I'll watch this. I hadn't never heard of this show or this book. Um, Maybe I'll check it out because it does sound interesting, and that makes me feel good to know, like, hey, these people now have something they can go enjoy that you helped them find, and not just me because I'm some expert, but I bring panelists on who are experts and pick
He
their
was the expert.
brains.
He was the expert here recently, guys. He was on with Copa. They were doing 300. He's an expert,
Uh,
just like me.
I do love that movie.
That's
Um,
a good one, isn't it? Yes, it is.
uh,
Um,
so that's for me. It's just the relationships too. Like I want to get to hang out. So that's kind of what it is. And the other thing that's odd about process is they just added this whole tier where you get monetized at 500 subs. They lowered the levels to get in, which I think is great. Um, and but then at the same time, I'm worried about some of those people because that happened. Then a whole bunch of people got demonetized at the same time. So is this their business plan to eventually? Because if these people who are newer just kind of get approved, if they're not doing what YouTube wants them to do, they're going to smack them right back down too. But
mhm.
if you have enough people now, you can then call the ones like Justin has lost you, had a lot of views going in, and that maybe we don't need him anymore. We can get rid of
Mm.
him and still have replacement revenue now because the thing is with super chats and memberships is they take 30% of that right off the top. And so they're allowing you to get that, but they're not actually paying you for ads yet. Those guys aren't getting ads. So they're just
Right.
taking a cut of your donations. And so why wouldn't
Right.
they do that?
So more flexibility to cull the herd
Right.
because you have a law of small numbers, and the small numbers could still stay small because they're still on a slower growth curve too, because they got to still get, it's like half the number of subscribers and it's 1,000 less hours. People still don't understand the 1,000 hours. I talked it through with someone. I don't think it was live, but for those of you who don't know, and ZAXX can help me guide you through this, but if you go to your analytics and you change on the right, because your default is 28 days, if you change that to 365, so you're looking at a year, that's a pretty good snapshot of where you're at on all your statistics, but that's a rolling year.
Yeah.
So if you're like me and ZAXX and you have these massive, you know, spikes around,
Yeah.
let's say SS Rajamouli,
Oh
when those
yeah.
spikes go away, where are you still at? Like you have, so live streaming generates a lot of hours, but it's a slow sub growth. Videos is to me a crapshoot, depending on the content, riding the analytics wave, and shorts is a lot more chance for a lot of views with people who will not engage. Like that's pretty much my experience. I think that
Yep.
this is again generalizations, guys. Don't take it personal. If you're a short person that found ZAXX and you love him and now you engage in everything, but my point is, it's just these are the generalizations. Is that a pretty good summary of the stats and kind of how it all kind of plays out, ZAXX? Correct me.
Yeah, absolutely. You get a lot of subs from shorts who don't watch any of your other stuff. You almost only grow live stream audiences by live streaming and then doing other live streams with other people, unless you happen to be lucky enough to have that consistent video growth, which is where you get your hours in. And that so much of the video stuff for me, I know what I would need to do, and I'm sure you do too, to get videos that are going to get 10,000 views, 20,000 views. Like if you reviewed Barbie, day one with the right kind of review, with the right kind of
Mm-hmm.
thumbnail. But honestly, I just don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
not why I do this. And I know I could do it, but I don't really want to. Like that's that simple. Like,
Yeah, you
I,
have to have the scale balance, right, of costs and benefits, right? Your happiness and joy. This is how I ended up down the cartoon rabbit hole with doing cartoons because it's like
mhm.
it was fun for me. I wasn't doing these. Trust me. Look at the view count, guys. Trust me, and the copyright claims. Almost
Oh yeah.
all of my copyright claims in the last 6 months are related to all these stupid cartoon videos. I just got a brand new one. Um, it's not even from the recent Batman episode that I did. It was from like 5 ago.
Oh
Now the
god.
person's claiming the music, and I've been using the music this whole time. And I even put links in my dispute, like, no, this is your YouTuber music thing. Did it change? Because you didn't tell me it changed.
Yep.
So, I mean, what do you want me to do? Yeah. And I got like 50 of these videos now. Like, so 50 of them have this music. So it's like, I'll have to wait for each one of them to pop up, I guess. I mean, it's just, oh, it's YouTuber problems, first world problems. It's a theme, I guess. It's a theme, I guess. So,
It,
uh,
it it is, but like we do know what you need to do, and that's why you see so many of those
yeah.
types of videos with the same type of thumbnail, and they
Mm-hmm,
are
mm-hmm,
effective, and it seems to be what YouTube wants. But like I mean I want people to watch Sanctuary, which is a new sumo show on Netflix, and I don't care that people aren't, you know it's not going to get me huge clicks because it's not a big topic, but it's a really cool show that I think people should watch, and so I'll do that. And if I don't get views on it, that's fine, um, because I didn't hate making it.
mm-hmm. I don't
You
hate my
know,
experience watching. Well, I love all that kind of stuff. So I revel in the fact that we can be recommending positive stuff. So
hmm
uh, I know we kind of danced around it a little bit, Zach. I just kind of want to like dial in just a little bit on because you definitely have been you referenced it a lot. You've been, I mean, we know each other personally, so I totally get it. The balancing of the personal life stuff with this, like, how do you tell someone, like, how do they get started? How do they stay encouraged and build up some sort of consistency?
that's a good question. First, it really fully depends on your life situation. Do you work full time? Do you have two jobs? Are you married? What are your other commitments? And understand before you get started. Try to have a general idea for what you will be able to do towards what you can put into YouTube
Mm.
that you can always take back, because there's been a lot of people, and I watched your show with Brandon that you had done, the anime guy, and he said the same thing where you get into it, and if it's something you enjoy doing, it's easy to get pulled into it, and so you have to have the people, or I feel you have to have the people in the regular life out here who can say, like, enough already. You're putting in all this work into this thing, and why are you really doing it? And you want to make sure that you have to keep, prioritize your real life stuff, which is difficult because a lot of people you meet through YouTube, and people in your real life may not understand it. Well, these people are my friends. Like, it's not like my pops is my friend. It's just not just a thing where we go on YouTube. Like, I like the guy. I'd like to hang. If we were in the same place, I'd hang out with him all the time.
Mhm.
But so part of it is hanging out, and
Yeah.
a lot of people outside of that don't understand that at all. So it's on you to make sure that they do.
It
And
sounds weird if we rewind the clock 5, 10 years. Like before pandemic, it sounds really odd. Now it seems almost like natural for us. Like
you're
virtual
right.
friendship, it's not as weird as it sounds now. Before
No,
it sounded AOL chat roomy.
it does. It's true. And like but if you don't have, like, if you're, kind of just, you got some extra time, and you're not married or whatever, then you can dump a lot of time into it. Just make sure that you don't put all of your soul into it at the same time, and leave yourself space, to, go outside and, be physically active when you can, and that will
Mhm,
make you better and experience other stuff, so you can then bring that to share with people on here. Because
mhm.
if you're just, there's a vicious feedback loop on YouTube, pops, that you know all about, where we get stuck into this outrage circuit, and
Mhm.
we can become part of the problem. Not that there aren't things to be outraged about, but there's ways you can feed it, and ways you can, kind of help other people get through it.
Mm.
Because things you love are getting destroyed, and that sucks. No one likes
Yep.
that, but it's hard. You have to make sure that you don't let that ruin the rest of your life.
You don't let it. So for me, it was like it wasn't really about obsession, but and you've met me to know I am not a downtrodden kind of guy. And for me, I could
No,
be hate raging or whatever, but I'm also like, yep,
no, you don't
that's
know
over
it.
now. Let's something else, right? So for me, I find such bliss in doing throwback videos and cartoon videos and whatever that is for you guys. Like go, and I really think this is great for the folks that also do like live gaming live streams, like where they're going to play a game now. Like, it's a great way of like, okay, now do something fun like that to have fun for yourself. I went to this convention recently and talked for like an hour of what it would like to be at the convention. It was something that I'm not sure I'm going to be doing regularly, but it was a nice, healthy dose. And I really appreciated the back and forth with folks, which I didn't expect. I didn't expect as much back and forth. Maybe that's the best way to explain it. Of, it's kind of like the touch the grass philosophy of like, oh, we'll get out there and what's it really like? What's really going on kind of stuff. Now, I lead a personal life that puts half my life literally in the grass, in the fields, if you will.
Yeah,
But that's a little different than other people. But I think it's great. I think it's great advice. That's spot on as always, my brother. Spot on as always.
I think what I want people. This is behind the scenes stuff. More behind. What people don't know is that half the show happens backstage after the show,
Well, that's true. There's been
and
times your stuff goes on for like an hour or so. Yeah.
yeah, where you can say like whatever. You don't have to worry about it. You can just hang out or talk about. You can even talk about your personal life with the person and not worry about stuff getting out there they don't want out there. And that is a part of that's a part of this community is the backstage stuff where you can just hang out and freely like shoot the shit, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, so true. Very true. Any sort of like other nuggets of advice that we could kind of impart on someone, or maybe a question you'd have for me that we could impart on someone that we really didn't kind of get into, especially for like the new tuber, you know what I mean? The
Mm,
person that's still like, because one of the things I came up with, and I don't know if you agree with this, let me throw one at you before you respond,
yeah.
was let's say you're going to do a channel, make a couple videos, but don't publish them yet. Just draft them. Don't just focus on making 5 videos. Don't publish them yet. Just draft them. Maybe even try 5 different things. Try comic book, movie review, maybe
Mm,
something more long form or something like that. Try a couple different things. Get a flavor for the whole process, right? Then maybe figure out what your thumbnails might look like. Make all your thumbnails and then drop them all at the same time within like a day, like 2 days, whatever. And then
mhm.
let everybody know you have a channel. And then when
Right.
they go there, they're not going to go to one video. They'll probably go to all of the, because there's only 5, right? There's only like 5. So it's like you're asking me to go through 30 videos. You're saying, oh, I got a brand new channel. Here's my new channel. There's 5 videos. And I'm talking about short videos, guys. I'm talking like 5, 8, 10, 15 minutes, just short videos. Don't do 5 hour videos. My God, you're not going to get any feedback at all. But if you did that, you can see what people will watch, how long they'll watch it. You'll also get good feedback from someone like me or ZAXX who'll be like, this one, I think this one's rock and roll,
Mhm.
like dive deep, and this one, so, honest feedback can be helpful. I think when people just do like one video, then they wait
Mhm.
5 days to do one video, it's like they don't even get their wheels going quite yet and they don't know what they're doing. I think if you
Right.
just experiment a little bit, just be fearless, because let's be honest, no one sees them. It's just the 10 people that that you can go get to watch them. So
Yes.
you're only embarrassing yourself in front of 10 people and you can always delete them because
Yeah.
it's not impacting your channel yet.
Yeah.
What is something like that you could throw out there for folks where you're like, oh, let's try, this little piece or that little piece. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I've got a. That's a good. That's yeah. You're right. You want to have more than one thing there, and I guess one trick to know is that YouTube will generally only notify people for 3 videos a day. I don't know if
It's
that's
true.
written in stone somewhere or not, but it seems to be how it works. So if you do, say you do 3 videos in a live stream in a day, well, no one's going to know about your live stream. So don't take it personally if no one shows up. It's because they didn't know it happened. Try to have other ways to promote your videos other than YouTube in case it doesn't go out.
Mhm.
YouTube, as much as I hate to say it, it's almost always the best source of getting people to watch it is if they've watched your stuff and they've got the notification set up, they'll know when you're streaming or they know when you release something, and it's the best way to get people to watch it. I use Twitter quite a bit
Mhm.
to varying degrees of results, but you might as well try it. I've used Reddit a lot in the past to get people to look at stuff that I've done or other people have done, because I would promote a lot of Gary stuff over there too, just to see how it worked. Like a lot of it for me is I want to know, well, what would happen if I did this? And it's it's not random. You do learn what does work and what doesn't work, and Reddit can get you quite a bit of views, but maybe by people who don't necessarily aren't going to like the video, and they won't watch anything else you do after that because they,
No,
it's
it's
a
like a
very,
short.
yeah, yes,
It's
exactly.
like a short, and they hate you. You're better
They
off to
hate
hate
you.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
So Reddit, to my opinion, Reddit will work for a like a short boost. If you just need like 1,000 views,
yeah,
uh, put on the Barbie Reddit my video where it says Barbie is a dumpster fire. There
right.
you go. You're gonna get 1,000 views and 100 people that will downvote you and
Yep,
maybe call you a jackwagon and all sorts of other profanity that you'll have to censor. So
yep.
yeah, it's that
That's
kind of
true.
thing. That's what Reddit's for.
And
Unless you
that's,
build into a community or whatever.
uh,
I don't know. Who has time for that? I don't know. Yeah.
yeah,
So
nobody has time for that. The other thing is to build off what Pops was saying is first, first understand that the quality of your video will not often and may never actually relate to appreciation or views of your video. And
mm,
so I've seen so many people who who they spend a week on a video and it's outstanding technically especially, and no one watches it, and they're crushed and they don't understand what's wrong with their video, or is YouTube holding me back? And you start to think, well, am I
mm,
being shadow banned because I made a video and look, it's good? And people watching your video often, like it definitely, unless you've built up a reputation over months where people watch all of your stuff because all of your stuff is really good, just because your video is good doesn't mean people are going to watch it. And please don't be discouraged by that.
mm.
Keep,
That's so
keep,
true.
keep going, and eventually you'll have a back catalog, like Pops had said. You'll have 5, 10, 15 videos before people find the one that also gets the traction from YouTube. People go, wow, this is great. I'll see what else this
Mhm.
person has done. So that's the one. The second part of that is release your damn video. It it may never be perfect, but there comes a time when you have to just finish it and put it out into the world and not agonize over this transition. I just don't like how this works. Realistically, a lot of people don't watch YouTube. They listen to YouTube. So make sure your
Mhm.
mic is good, your audio is clear, your transitions that way are perfect. But if this one thing just doesn't line up, and I have a friend who one of the first people to talk to on YouTube, man, he would spend 3 to 4 hours on 3 seconds of a video, and nobody noticed because he added an effect in there that was really cool, but nobody noticed, nobody watched it, and it was discouraging because he put the time in and no one could tell. And so, you know, just get your damn video out where you can. If it's ready to go and it may not be perfect, but you're comfortable with it overall, just put it out and be done with it. Because what happens, Pops, and I've done this too, is it's not perfect. I won't put it out. So now I've dumped hours into this thing and I'm never going to release it now because now it's almost too late. And so
Mhm.
you're better to just, put it out there and see if people like it and move on to the next thing so that it's gone. That's sort of my piece there.
Look, I know, folks, we're running a little long for our normal Watch Your Story, but I think we're really, really in a good place here to really kind of keep unpacking some fun stuff. Because ZAXX is one of the few people that actually is like, hey, Pops, you got a sound issue here. Hey,
Mm,
Pops, you got this going on. And I've had like notes, like trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh, I would have to download it, edit it, put it back, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I leave it. Sometimes I don't.
hmm
Sometimes, it's like you kind of have to pick and choose your battle. About once a month or so, Zach, Mrs. Pops and I exchange like life hacks or mind hack, call them whatever you want. Kind of goes back to the first part of what you were saying was, I don't know where we picked it up. I think I picked this one up. because she elaborated on it, which of course is what she always does well. I said, so I think it was Chris Williamson or George Mack or somebody like that. And it was everyone else's opinion or whatever will matter so much less when you realize that you're just an extra in their movie. And I'm like, yep. If I just do me and focus on my little thing of what, where my lane is, I won't get so bent out of shape. Because I think if you're doing what ZAXX was saying, where you're spending, hours and hours and hours doing a 10-minute video, you're going to be obsessing over numbers. You're going to be so discouraged when you have 42 views.
Yep.
You're not going to get any positive comments about how wonderful and great you are and attaboys. And it's not because any of us don't like you or don't hate you or because we hate you. It's because we all got stuff going on. That's it. Especially for creators, especially from the creator circle. The creators we're all worried about the next cycle. I think I don't know about how do you how do you schedule your minor in cycles of blocks of chunks of time. And I don't know. How is it for you that you kind of like the I don't care what people say or care? I mean, what are your thoughts and how do you digest that?
I think that as long as what I'm saying is clear and I'm comfortable with that the message that I want to send is the message people will mostly receive from it. And maybe there's some jokes in that I think are funny that they may not think are funny. Then that's going to be okay. They're not going to hold that against you long term. And it's just, as a gamer, also, I'm a completionist. So sometimes it's daunting for me to start a game like Cyberpunk, where I know I'm going to want to do everything. Like, I can't just get through the main plot and, walk away from it and being done. I have to do everything. And so I know that about myself with YouTube stuff. And it's just, here's my point. I have gone back. This is a good example. And I've taken a video that was going to be like 20 some minutes long. And I actually listened to it again. Like, I don't need to say this, or this. And instead of fixing how that was said or changing the video, I cut that out, made it into a 9-minute video that was tight, that was quick, that hit everything I wanted to hit, and people could be in and out because, really, I didn't need to expand on these other things. And it becomes like its own monster sometimes, where you got to take a look at your monster and go, is anyone going to really need to know all these things? So you can sometimes tighten that up, and it fixes those issues for you. And I think that one of the reasons YouTube will recommend your videos is because, and this is all about engagement stuff, it's because people will watch YouTube after they watch your video. That's one of the things they measure that people don't talk about. So that may have nothing to do with you. Like, you could just happen to have been the guy they watched before another notification came up that they also wanted to watch. So if they keep watching YouTube after your video, then they will recommend your next video. And so it often has nothing to do with you, except for you have to be happy with what you put out there, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And as people get to know you, and Critical Drinker is a good example, like his first video that hit for him, he was drunk. And for whatever reason that worked. And his videos are not like these tightly edited. He has a script, and it's a great script. He has a great voice. I like what he has to say. But what you're watching is just like,
it's trailer clips.
It's trailer clips on a loop.
Yeah, Copa's the same thing. Copa's the next. He's the next Critical Drinker. It's just a different.
I agree. That's what I said too.
It's the exact same process with a different script and a different tone, and he has a different approach to some of the gags, if you will. You know what I mean? So it's like, I just think it's great. I mean, I got to be honest, I admire it because it's a lot of what's in my head sometimes. Because a lot of my videos are like the opposite of what ZAXX just advised. His advice is really good. Don't do what I do. Do what ZAXX just said.
No,
short and sweet, 9 minutes. Like I just did my beef season 1, and you can literally feel me like mulling through a show when I have a lot of mixed feelings about something. When you don't, because everybody wants you to love or hate something. People don't want you to like really like it with a bunch of qualifications or a lot of what if this or what if that. And that's me capturing my emotions in the moment, because I don't watch anyone else's reviews. So until I review my own. So I literally got Pops, you should watch beef. Pop, you should watch beef. didn't watch a trailer, did not know what I was getting myself into, watched 2 episodes, did a video, and then watched the rest of the season. In the meantime, my comment section's going bonkers. And I'm
Yeah.
like, listen, wait till that video comes out, because I have recorded it. I haven't edited it yet together. You'll understand more of that process. And I think this is a part of what we've talked about here many in different times in different ways about finding your voice, finding your lane, finding your speed, getting into that routine. What's your schedule, consistency? All of these things kind of matter, but nothing matters more than just kind of having a good time. Right, ZAXX? It's all about having a good time.
It should be a hobby you enjoy doing. And if it's not,
Absolutely.
Find a different hobby you enjoy doing and come back to it later if you want to. And if not, Godspeed.
Well, if you enjoy hanging out with us, you need to be a member, because if you're not going to get to see what we're going to do next, because we've talked about this for, months.
Oh, yeah.
This box right here, we are going to bust open a Jim Lee Uncanny X-Men box from the 90s. I had traded a comic book for this because this guy, he blew me up. He's like, did you see them open the $6,000 Marvel? Yes, I did. 1996 Marvel Masterpiece. It's like a $6,000 comic book box. And my head was like this the whole time.
Yeah.
I think I sent you the video of the guy that opened like the $50,000 Mickey Mantle wax pack thing, or what, to no avail. There was nothing in it. It was completely useless cards. But yeah, we're going to do
what
this.
What a video to watch, though.
It was, aren't they so much fun though? It's like, it's just a blast. So we are going to do that for the members first. I probably will release it publicly because it's kind of always fun to share like this experience. But if you're not a member, you're gonna have to be a member. So this, and we're recording this a minute before ZAXX's What's Your Story drops. So reality is you probably have to wait a while before you'll get to see this publicly. So part of it is, please be a member. So that'll be it. And just check out ZAXX's stuff. I think it's actually really even cooler to get to know ZAXX and be friends with ZAXX, because it's like we actually run on opposite ends of the schedule. So to me, it's like the network. If we had like a TV guide, it'd be all of us lined up, and it's like, well, you can just keep watching this type of content. Just coming up in a couple hours, we'll be ZAXX. We'll be the Flashes. We'll be. We're not actually in competition at the same time slots. Very rarely. So there you go. Well, my brother, it's good.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course.
Never let yourself feel negatively about someone else's success in this or in any other form. That is a trap. Don't let yourself fall into that. Let's be happy for each other, support each other, and do it because you like doing it. And don't get into that negativity of, well, this person's what, it's not right. Don't compare yourself. Just enjoy what you're doing, and don't bring yourself down because someone else is being lifted up.
I agree. I again, going to go back to Mrs. Pops again, comparing notes, mind hacks, whatever. She was saying this exact same thing in a different way. And I said, honey, you're talking about infinite game. Do you know what the infinite game principle is, where you're just playing like an infinite game? So you really, we're playing an infinite game against ourselves. Basically, it's like once you get your head in, I'm not making videos for the numbers. I'm not making videos I'm just making videos for the sense of making videos. Like it's like this infinite system of what's out there. It's how I look at it. And she was like talking about, so-and-so this and so-and-so that. And I'm like, oh, you're talking about the infinite game principle. She's like, what? She said, put a name with it. And I think this is so much of like, don't get caught up in the competition. There's no real competition. First off, you're fooling yourself if YouTube cares.
No, they don't care. There's no they.
No, there is no they. It's almost all AI. It's so little human. And then even the human is like, I think exactly what ZAXX said. 1:09. Dude, person opened the window and they were on their phone. They didn't look at nothing. I just freaking ridiculous. Anyway, ZAXX, my brother, thank you for so much for getting to watch your story in the books. We're so excited. Thank you, folks, for watching and hanging out. Make sure you check out ZAXX's channel and all that. Make sure you're sub. Be blessed. Until next time, take care, everybody.